Okay, we'll go ahead and open up the Ford County Commission meeting. This is meeting number 2020-51. And first up, we'll do a call to order, which three commissioners are here. We'll start off with a prayer and a pledge of allegiance. I believe I have, it says Corky Spittler from Christ the King Lutheran Church.
Correct. Let's pray. The Lord, it's been a year. You've loaded up the challenges for all of us. Any kind of leadership position, we've all struggled with this. We've all been forced to struggle with loss and fear as well. So we pause to lift up and pray for all those families in Ford County, especially those who've lost loved ones to this virus. I pray for these commissioners. They're tasked with making difficult and complex decisions, and sometimes those decisions are unpopular. So I pray that you would give them wisdom, insight, compassion, and courage as they deliberate how we can best move forward together. I ask these things in Christ's name.
Amen.
Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ryan.
Continue, Corky.
Thank you.
There you go.
Ryan just come from prayer.
Ryan actually was coming in to prayer. I didn't know Corky was coming up, so anyway, that's always nice. We had a gap there where we didn't have many showing up at all. I leaned heavily on Sean over here. All right, first thing in front of us, I'd like to make a motion to add, this is resolution 2020-21, and this will be a discussion we had about First Bank Card. So I'd make a motion that we add that to the agenda. And we could do that, let's do it as number 11 and a half under County Administrator's Report. If it gets seconded.
I would second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion second to add resolution 2020-21, a discussion about First Bank Card, to the agenda. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next up is the consent agenda, and this is for the approval of meeting minutes. And there's quite a few of them: 2020-43, 2020-44, 2020-45, 2020-46, 2020-47, 2020-48, 2020-49. A credit card statement for November of $31,300.28, and a cereal malt beverage license for Spearville Truck Stop, also known as Freedom Petroleum.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second it.
Okay. With the motion second, I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Up next is approval of claims. This is for the amount of $757,000, $134.38. And make a motion to approve the claims as presented.
I second it.
The motion second, any further discussion on it? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. This is the part of the meeting where we come to open public comments. Please limit 5 minutes per individual and 15 minutes per topic. Final action may be deferred until the next county commission meeting unless an emergency situation does arise. The microphone is open. Please tell us who you are and where you live. Go ahead.
Postal question for City. I I'm here today to, first of all, to ask you, I'm not familiar how meetings work. I don't know if this is the part where I come talk and then we converse back and forth, if I just talk and we don't converse, or just how they, I don't understand how they work. And then through the meetings, can we just talk to you, like, is there a discussion, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so this will be your moment to actually bring anything you want to us. If there is something that you want to be put on the agenda where there's a discussion back and forth, that's where we have an agenda item and we actually put you on the agenda. So that would be like when we're getting down here to the county administrator's report, which is part H of the meeting, those roughly 14 items that we'll discuss. That's where there's a back and forth. Decisions, actions will be taken at those times.
So if I ask you to put on the agenda, when I talk to you, we'll discuss back and forth. Is there a time limit on that, or just?
There's really not. I think the biggest thing we're looking for is that it's moving along. It's not, we don't want to be here from 8:30 to 5 just waiting on a meeting. Yeah.
Constance, that needs to be done through administration ahead of the meeting.
Yeah, I understand.
I mean,
Yeah,
we're not gonna, at open public comment, say, hey, I'd like to get on the agenda. and not
I
happen,
understand,
right?
yeah. Plus I gotta put my paperwork in for him.
Sure.
Has anybody considered having a town hall meeting for like the mask issue and COVID-19? I'm concerned, as you as my public board of health, where do you get your information? I talked to Mr. Curbs, and he said he sees no issues with it being a constitutional violation or a personal freedoms violation. He sees nothing along that lines. So I don't understand why your own county attorney saying it doesn't violate any of that, but you think it does. Dr. Trotter said the mask mandate was needed, and they work. And you guys, ignored his advice. And then in that last resolution, you put in there some other consideration, other information, that last thing that you asked him to add to it.
Mhm.
What was that other information that you're talking about? Where do you get
Okay.
your information? I mean, I don't.
Do you wanna continue your comment, or do you want me to answer that now?
Yeah, go ahead now.
Okay. So, are you familiar with the hierarchy of quality of evidence?
Somewhat.
Okay. At the bottom of that list, you have background expert information, expert opinion, and non-evidence-based medicine guidelines. That's the lowest quality evidence that's there. What's available to us here, our consultant, Dr. Trotter, and I will tell you, Dr. Trotter's a friend of mine, has been for a long time. But in weighing evidence and trying to make these decisions that we're making for the public health in our county, that expert opinion and that level of evidence is at the bottom of the totem pole. And he and you, for that matter, and our governor and her administration are all depending on that level of information, of that evidence, to pass these mask mandates and that kind of thing, when there is much better evidence, much better quality of evidence out there that they need to be checking into and that they need to be using. Such as randomized controlled trials, non-randomized controlled trials, and systematic reviews of those trials, and what's called meta-analysis of those trials. Over the course of the last 70+ years, there have been 10 randomized, well, over 10, but randomized controlled trials regarding the efficacy of masks and on viral transmission. Overwhelmingly
Okay, and
showing no,
that raises a good point. Mr. Strick said he wore his mask because he's 81 years old and has a heart condition, that's why he wears his mask. And that was your point. You're thinking of not COVID-19. These do not protect you from getting COVID-19. You are protected zero. Well, now they say there's a little bit of protection, but they protect you nothing from getting the COVID-19. They, it's more from spreading it. That's why it becomes, see, I'm touching my mask like this 100 times, but as long as it's not wet or moist or anything like that, and I have hand sanitizer, it doesn't matter if I touch it 100 times. It's, if I sanitize and wash my hands, it doesn't matter. But I think that's where you don't understand, or maybe they always made it clear, that it's not a personal choice as to whether you would protect it or not. It's, you're protecting the public. When I wear this mask, that's to keep me from spreading the germs if I'm asymptomatic or pre-symptomatic. So all the studies that have been done prior to COVID-19 do not apply because it's a different kind of virus. Plus, I can send you from the CDC, every major university, every top expert in the US, the CDC has peer-based reviewed studies that say they work. They have over 40 peer-based reviewed studies that say they work. That's why I tried, I'm trying to email you information, and I'm not getting a response back, and I'm just wondering, where do you get your information? Because I'm concerned that, the first meeting that you had about the mask, when we've had the very first case, I watched that video, and you all sat up here and acted like the leaders I expected you to be. Where's our medical experts, you were asking? We need to set the foreground for this, we need to do this. And we shut everything down. And then all of a sudden, that leadership just went away. Nobody wants to consult with it. Every one of you said, we need to get our doctors in here and see what they say. So you got your experts in here. And every one of your experts know about randomized tests, they know about randomized trials, and each one of them said, masks work. So your experts are relying on the CDC and those experts, and they're telling you, because you can't possibly know every issue about law, every issue about medical. That's why you have Mr. Kurbs come in and you're consultants. So if your consultants are telling you and you're ignoring them, I'm kind of concerned with that. I mean, like right now, you're not wearing a mask. That to me is like, I don't know, it's like insulting, because here I am, I got my mask on, so I don't infect you. I'm thinking of you. I'm not living my life in fear. I can't stay home, and cower down. I'm sitting here protecting you, and you both are out there not caring if you protect me. You could be pre-symptomatic and you could be asymptomatic right now, and you can infect people. And it's just, I just don't know if you, I'm concerned because you are our public board of health. You, of all people, should be the leaders of it. So, I mean, if Dr. Trotter's your advisor and you trust him and he's told you we need it and they work, if Mr. Kurbs is your law advisor and he advises you on the law issues and all the things, you've never went against him. If he advised you these be put in this contract, you don't balk him, you don't anything. So if Mr. Kurbs is saying it doesn't violate the constitutional rights or your personal freedoms and you ignore him, that concerns me, but I'll move on to my next thing. Could these meetings go live like the city? I can sit at home and participate in the meeting and not care if you have a mask on. Right now, to participate in my government, I have to sit here exposed because you don't want to wear a mask. So in order to participate in my government, I have to come here and feel vulnerable. I just don't think that's right. The city has the technology to do it. It'd make everybody happy. If you don't want to wear a mask, fine. If you want to wear a mask, fine. That would make the whole county happy. Plus, it's more citizen participation. If someone's sitting at home and they can hear and talk in the meetings, that's way better for everybody. More people get involved. The city does it every meeting. Also, the minutes on the website, when you go there to see the minutes, it says the minutes are agenda. You can only get the agenda. So I called and said, well, how do I get the minutes of past meeting? Well, you gotta ask Deb for a request. Well, I just don't understand why other counties have the meetings minutes posted right there, And this website has a place for the meeting minutes, but we don't use them. I got to bug her for it, and it's just not easy to access my government information. But about the town hall meeting, I was thinking, if you had a town hall meeting where you brought in lawyers, 4 or 5 local lawyers, 4 or 5 doctors, and we just sat around and discussed it. Any concern you had, or any question you had, any question anybody had, the experts would be there to give us expert advice, not opinion pieces, not something they read on health.com or something, but from credible sources. And that's another thing, I don't know if people know how to get credible sources, you know, the .gov, the .org sites, as opposed to redwhiteandblue.com, you know. But if we had a town hall meeting, I think that would educate everybody. Right now, when these meetings are on broadcast, you can only have, if you have cable, that's the only way you can see them. Except for now, I did ask JD to put them on YouTube, and he hasn't put them on YouTube. So you can see them, but you still can't participate live.
Since we're already at 11
Okay.
minutes.
Okay, yes, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think Laura's here too, but I don't know where.
Okay. Anybody else for open public comment?
Mr. Chairman, may I continue to address what I started to a little bit ago?
Sure.
So in the systematic review of the 10 identified RCTs on the effectiveness of face masks in reducing lab-confirmed influenza virus, which is in fact much like any other virus, they found no significant reduction in transmission with the use of face masks. One study evaluated the use of masks among pilgrims from Australia during the Hajj pilgrimage and reported no major difference in the risk for laboratory-confirmed influenza virus, which is the kind of virus that was available at that time, in the control or the mask group. 2 studies in university settings assessed the effectiveness of face masks for primary protection by monitoring the incidence of laboratory-confirmed virus among student hall residents for 5 months. The overall reduction in ILI or laboratory-confirmed influenza cases in the face mask group was not significant in either studies. Study designs in the 7 household studies were slightly different. One study provided face masks and P2 respirators for household contacts only. Another study evaluated face mask use as a source control for infected persons only. And the remaining studies provided masks for infected persons as well as their close contacts. None of the household studies reported a significant reduction in secondary laboratory-confirmed virus infections in the face mask group. Most studies were underpowered because of limited sample size, and some studies also reported suboptimal adherence to the face mask group. Disposable masks, also known as surgical masks, are loose-fitting devices that were designed to be worn by medical personnel to protect accidental contamination of patient wounds, to protect the wearer against splashes or sprays of bodily fluids. There is limited evidence for their effectiveness in preventing virus transmission, either when worn by the infected person for source control or when worn by uninfected persons to reduce exposure. Our systematic review found no significant effect of face masks on transmission of laboratory-confirmed viruses. These were a systematic review of randomized controlled trials over the course of the last 70 years. And when COVID started in the spring, CDC, WHO, Dr. Fauci all agreed that there was no need to wear a face mask, that these face masks were ineffectual in containing the spread of the virus.
Mr. Townsend, did I say
But,
something?
no,
Okay.
your time is up, Constance, thank you. I'll finish making my statement. They flip-flopped that position, all of them. From the institution of outside influence, mainly political, and from that time to this time have touted the mask. But what has not happened from that time to this time are any other randomized controlled trials that substantiated their claims that these masks are effective. So while the scientists have switched their story, the science has not. Once again, I have to remind everybody that there is way more going on as far as the public health, not just in our county, but across our nation and around the globe, than COVID. And those are also things that we have to take into account as well. There's a battle that hugely political that's happening in our state, and even here in our county. You pointed out that I'm not wearing a mask. I fully acknowledge that. I've chosen that hill to die on. If somebody wants to come and kill me here, that's the way it's gonna be. For nearly 50 years, we've done nothing about abortion in this country because people say, it's my body, it's my right. There's a pandemic that's killing 99.9% plus of its victims. And we're talking about a virus here that has a death rate of 1%, maybe less. And we're telling everybody that the only way that we're all gonna survive is we wear a mask. Well, I'm not buying it. And there's a hell of a lot more to public health than just this virus. And we'll continue to do our best to safeguard the public health as a whole and do the best we can to make the right decisions for the public health as a whole and not just about COVID. I've said enough.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you want to come forward?
I was told it was my turn.
There's about 3.5 minutes left if you want to talk about that discussion. We let Constance go well over the 5. So we allow 15 minutes per topic that's not on the agenda, so we can keep the agenda rolling.
Okay,
If you want to take that 3.5 minutes, you're welcome to.
thank you. I'd like to ask a couple of questions if I could.
Well, this isn't the part of the meeting where there'd be a back and forth conversation.
Okay.
This is more of a, if you have comments you want to bring to us, we can always put an agenda item on for a meeting.
Okay.
And we can then have that discussion where there's set time for that.
Okay. In that case, quickly,
Sure.
2 things. Number one, Commissioner Tassett, you said that the public health is not all about COVID right now. However, I would like to rebut by pointing out that we're not under an emergency or a state of emergency for any other situation right now. And then the other thing is, during your special meeting, you said that you had checked all available sources of information, and I just wanted to make sure that you had all of the available information. So I called around some of the local hospitals today, just to see what kind of a situation we're in. St. Catherine's is full. They have, no ICU beds. Their COVID ward, which is now their entire second floor, is full. They are not on emergency divert, but it's a fluid situation. In Pratt, I spoke to Lisa, who just returned from a week and a half off, because she contracted COVID. They said they do have beds available, but they have been running within 5% of capacity for more than 6 weeks. And at this point in time, they do have one ICU bed available, but again, it's a fluid situation. She said that could change within the hour that I spoke to her. Mineola Hospital has no ICU. I don't believe that Jetmore has any ICU. When I called there to speak to their administrator, none of them were available because they were all attending Dr. Snodgrass's funeral today. Hayes and Scott City, I was obliged to leave a message, as well as Meade District Hospital. At Western Plains, I spoke with Danielle. They said they currently have 6 COVID patients, and she could not give me a standard or a, what am I trying to say, concrete answer on ICU bed availability. So I just wanted to make sure that you had that attention, or had that information. And also that on the website, the minutes for these meetings are only available until October 19th. So I wanted to call that to your attention.
If you need meeting minutes, Debbie, we'll be glad to get those to you.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen, that's all I need.
All right. Okay, for unfinished business, we have Conet Construction. There's a request for an extension. This was a tabled item for meeting 2024-7.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, welcome.
So I don't really know where to start, so I don't know how you wanna start the discussion. Progress is moving along, and,
We've been dry, right? So,
well, at this point, the weather isn't supposed to impact, because everything is taking place currently
Inside.
inside. You know, there is still some work that's gonna be done outside. That's having the final.
okay. And when talking to the crews that are there now, I assume you guys visit with them? Yeah.
Yes, we were able to go ahead and implement a weekly construction update meeting since the last audit.
Okay.
This was brought up.
Okay.
I feel like we are a little more educated, a little more aware of where we're at currently, just and then what to expect in the next, in the next week before the next update. We meet Tuesdays.
Every Tuesday? Right.
It says December the 25th. Is that true?
I
read that somewhere in this.
Right, that was the projected, well, that was what the date would be should the change order be approved. I anticipate it to be done before that. At this point,
Well, I drive out there pretty regular and I don't see much going in action, that's all. I just have a little problem with
I understand,
wow, when you don't see, I don't see.
I understand.
action.
I have had some differences of opinions on kind of that same matter, so that's why I am not in support of an extension, at this time.
You know, when that water's running off that roof and they're trying to do that foundation, I understood all that. It's pumping down, it was a terrible mess, and I'm sure that didn't last, so I understood the first extension, but I'm having a little trouble with this now.
So the project itself originally was supposed to end on, is it this week?
Originally, it was this the original?
Originally?
Yes.
Originally, without the additional 12 days that we have already added for the
Yeah.
redesign, so that would have been, with the 12 days it's today.
Yeah.
It's
I
today.
thought today was the last day.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
They're
And-
not done, just to be clear.
Correct. We're
Commissioner Slick, to address what you said, these days that they're asking for do cover some of those days, that you're talking about when the rain was pouring down on the foundation, when they were trying to pour all that. These are some of those days.
I understand that.
Yep, I just wanted to clarify.
I seen that on the front end, I was out there about every day when they was pumping it out and all that, yeah.
Yep.
But after they got the cement poured, and I realized you gotta let it cure before you get on, I understand that. Yeah. But then I seen a big stoppage, and you'll have to confess that that's telling the truth, right? There was a big stoppage on the part. They were working, north of town, on a big old house out there. So be it, he had it, but he bid this job, and he knew when he had to get it done. So, well, I don't get, I have no sense. That's me.
So is there anything scheduled coming up that would be something you're trying to get in before this date? Project-wise, I mean, like,
No,
okay,
but we do anticipate there's gonna be a second change order coming down the road.
Oh.
That we don't have the details on just yet. That work, could impact some events until I know a little bit more the scope of the work that's of the project. I don't know how it's gonna impact the events, or even for sure if it will. We may get lucky where some of that work is completed in between and there's little to no impact, or it could just be a matter of we're rerouting some parking or rerouting some, access to the building into a secondary, the south side or something. But, no, the month of December for the dirt side, in fact, I've essentially shut the dirt side down because we have started the redesign, process. We're doing some, concrete was poured for the entry of the new addition and the handicap ramp, that was done last week. Max Jams is starting work this week, I believe, on the fencing, so we have sand to add, replacing the rope and chute, still have some repairs to the actual arena from the last event, so, and I'm cooking for everybody this week. So, we went ahead and shut the arena down because I wanted to give priority access to these construction projects.
Yeah.
To get them completed, because we did not have events in the arena scheduled during the month of December. So the only activities that is impacted for December are private arena rentals, and so it's a minimal impact. So we want to be able to take advantage of this time where it's not impacting events to get all that inside work done. But I anticipate, the building itself will be done, I'm gonna guess, a week and a half.
They did provide the updated, project schedule, and, December 18th is when they're shooting to finish. Whether or not these additional days that's the earliest they can do based on labor and material availability, and that's still on track.
So what does it mean if we don't approve the extension?
they pay a fine, right?
The liquidated damages will go into effect.
And how much
until
is
they
that,
finish.
like 2,500 a day or?
1,000 a day.
1,000 a day.
Mhm.
And right now we're saying 11 days, I don't know if that's all working days.
They have access, 7 days a week.
Oh, they do. So it's 11 grand to them. 10, depends, I guess, how they finish that,
Right.
whatever, yeah.
What were you saying a little bit ago about another work change relating to this project?
Yes. So,
What's anticipated?
Is that from us or is that from them?
So, okay, so in the beginning, we had discussed drainage for this addition.
Okay.
So drainage off of the Expo Center building is a huge issue that we deal
The
with.
roof.
Yes, it's massive space, we collect
Lots of water.
ton of snow, ton of water. I mean, even if we have a dew on the grass, I have a completely wet sidewalk. So, with that, we wanted to bury those downspouts. So a couple of years ago, I think, it was a couple of years ago, Road and Bridge assisted in a project on the west side of the current expo building where we buried those downspouts. Yes,
Into the ditch.
that worked exactly as we hoped it would.
Okay.
And so that was my thought for this new addition, with burying those downspouts, and we would do the same thing. We still are gonna have wet sidewalks, we're still gonna have ice, but we're only taking on what nature's bringing us, not what nature's bringing us and the hundreds of thousands of gallons of water that are coming off of the building. So that was in itself a process because of the length of, the length that would have to run, the pipe would have to run. The grade, how much, all of the science behind it. So by the time you get design team involved, by the time you get engineers involved, that takes some time. So, jump in.
Okay, all right, yeah, no, she's correct, it does take time, and, we did want to offer a couple of different options based on the cost of these systems. It does run several hundred feet, I think we're close to 700.
Yeah.
700 feet, and, so by the time we got some initial pricing back on that system, we kinda had a little sticker shock, and the contractor suggested maybe we could do, some sort of hydronic ice melt type system in the sidewalk.
Like a floor heat.
And that it would probably be less expensive. Well, the prices that we got back were not favorable, and so we settled on, well, the initial idea of doing the underground drainage is currently working. And that's what ultimately would be the best long-term solution. So we would just need to move forward with that and get final prices. Get final design from the civil engineer and get final prices and move forward with that decision. And that is currently, we are waiting on final numbers.
And that's, okay, so this would be a new bid? No.
No.
This is the same group that would do that?
We had it part of the project and we had set out an
You did.
allowance for it.
Okay.
But we are fairly certain that the final number is gonna be over that allowance.
Okay.
It's coming back tremendously higher than what we anticipated, because they know that we're ready to be done. So they jacked up their prices.
The
And,
subcontractor.
yes, the
Subcontractor.
subcontractor. So now what we're doing is looking at how can we get this done, which is, it's going to be a change order. That is not going to be done when the building itself is gonna be done.
Okay.
So we're trying to anticipate how to be able to utilize the addition, from the interior, while we're still waiting on that exterior work to be
And we
completed.
brainstormed some ideas and we just haven't really finalized that yet. We're hoping to learn a little bit more tomorrow at the construction meeting.
Okay.
So, yes, there will be an additional change order because it will impact the date of completion. So, I don't, until we have that information, we don't have all the numbers. So, that's why it hasn't been presented yet. So, I'm really planning on having that for you on the next agenda, so we can continue this meeting.
Okay. Okay.
But the change order that is on the agenda from the last meeting, I'll stick with it. I feel like it can die, or you can choose to not accept it. I don't feel like it needs to be approved, in my opinion, but what you guys choose to do, we just would let them know. You know what your answer is.
As an architect, how do you feel about if we denied this change order?
Well, I am your representative.
Yeah.
This, it is a tough line, because I can see both sides. Weather was an issue. There were also other issues that Danielle had brought up and that Commissioner Woods had brought up. And so that's,
It is tough, and
Yeah.
I don't wanna put Dana in a tricky situation, because, she's
I
gonna.
was trying to.
I know, but I'm trying to not. That's why I voiced my recommendation. I feel like I feel like it's known that the construction company dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Like, they understand that they dropped the ball, and I think that's why we've seen an upswing in activity out there the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Because they recognize that maybe they put a little too much on their plate.
Well, and I guess in all fairness, what I was trying to figure out is, this probably isn't your only project, and maybe,
No, you're correct.
yeah, and I was thinking maybe you're working with other people, and are there issues that they're having too? I mean, are you seeing a lot of change orders right now across the board, or is this kind of an anomaly because, maybe it's lack of effort or work involved, versus maybe you're seeing something that says, materials are all being shipped late, and everybody just has lack of resources right now, and labor's tough because people are quarantined, or, those type of things. That's what I'm trying to figure out is,
Mhm.
is it a justification that we say, let's kick this down the road, let's allow it, or should we be harsher and say, hey, you came up with an agenda, you agreed to it, it was a bid, we gave it to you.
I am seeing a lot of different issues just because of the year.
Yeah,
I don't believe we've seen those issues on this project.
okay,
To an extent, as far as materials, some things, just like this project with the drainage, some of those materials, are a little bit higher than I think we originally anticipated, but they were pretty close to the original estimate. The pricing issues are coming from the fact that people know we're in a bind. There were, I think, some issues with some subcontractors that nobody really anticipated having, just their own business practices that created some workflow issues for our project.
okay.
That were not COVID related.
They were not
Okay.
COVID related, but also, whose responsibility is that?
I was
mean,
just
I
gonna
feel
say,
like
but
you
also
should-
whose problem is
You
that?
should
It's
know
not
who
really
you go into business with.
ours.
Right,
Right. So Dana sees a lot more than I do.
Yeah.
What I've seen and what I've been told, I feel like COVID is a great scapegoat for a lot of situations. I'm not sure that this is entirely it.
okay.
And they're not trying to, they are just citing weather.
It's a tough spot, and it's not good for anybody. We're all super committed to getting this work done, and, Joey has been a great project manager. He is out there, he's doing what he can with this, Nobody is sitting anywhere saying, how can we put this, nobody's doing that. Balls were dropped, there were, just things that happened, but, that's where we're at. So the work's gonna get done, it's
Yeah.
just a matter of, whether this is approved or not, it's still gonna get done in the time that we anticipate it's gonna get done, it's just whether or not are we assigning penalties.
Mhm.
Right. Because tomorrow would start the first day of the penalty.
There has been a significant amount of progress, that I can visually see, over definitely the last 2 weeks.
Okay.
When do we make a decision on let's keep over the penalty as it is, and if all of it, if they, what was it, my dad told me, get off their butt, get it done, it'll be done. And if we just hold them to the deal where they're thinking they're paying it, maybe again, we give it back to them.
Well,
I'm not.
sure, no, I see what you're saying.
But I'm telling you how
Sure.
my dad operated
Sure.
me.
Exactly.
Told me to get off my butt and get it done.
Exactly, and, without knowing what the details are gonna be on the upcoming change order, I feel like, once I know more, I may, be a little more, easy to get along with, I suppose, on that change order. So, because did explore every option, and I think the timing of this is just unfortunate. I think if we would have been discussing the drainage issues 2 months ago, we would have still been having kind of the same pricing issues and challenge of getting that work completed. So I think if there's gonna be any forgiveness or any, teamwork to put together, a group effort of how to move forward on that second work order, I think, that's definitely gonna be there. I think the communication has definitely improved, and, we all wanna work together, we all wanna get this done and get it done right. So I think we can definitely, work with them on that second change order to, to make it a little bit easier to, because it's a pretty significant project that is gonna have to take place, and it's something that not just anybody can come in and do, so.
So gentlemen, in front of us is a tabled item from 2020-47 meeting, and it's a request from Conan Construction to approve change order number 2. So if you'd like that to move forward, we will need a motion and a second. And if you don't, we don't say anything.
We have on the agenda that change order number 2 allows for 18 additional days. Could we change that here?
You wanna give them till
What if we
the
gave
18th?
them, what if we gave them 9 days?
Until the 16th?
16th, that'd be half of what they requested.
I think we can
Is
do
that
anything.
something we can
Yeah,
do?
you can add, yep.
Yeah, we can do,
It's
we
not
can
something
accept
we
it, or we can
change the request or anything like that, but that's, I would make a motion that we approve a change order that allows for 9 additional days. Making December 16th, is that correct? The new contract end date.
Second, discussion. I really wish they were here. I think that would be a great thing, to actually have the contractor in front of us explaining it. Especially if you're asking for relief of, I don't know what that would be, additional $11,000 off the contract price. Any other discussion?
Well, it doesn't make sense. Why wouldn't they be in there talking about $11,000, but not busy can you be? Apparently it wasn't busy enough. But you're right. It'd be a lot easier to say, yeah, let's reach out and touch them, if they could come in and talk. Hell.
All right. I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you.
Let them know. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
All right. I don't show any legal counsel on here. Sorry. Go ahead.
When you call them
Oh, on this one here? Not getting audio on there?
No.
Okay.
I just saw him stand up and walk away. Good time.
Good afternoon, Cook's office. This is Judy. May I help you?
Judy, this is Sean Tassett. We're calling to conference in with Glenn for the county commission meeting.
Can I give you a different phone number?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay. It is 408-5740.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. Bye-bye.
Bye. Teamwork.
Glenn, hey, this is Matthew with Fort County IT. We're your conference in with the meeting now.
All right, thank you, Matt.
Hi, Glenn.
Good to see you and hear you.
Yeah, hey. Well, if you're following along on your meeting, we just finished the unfinished business and we're now to legal counsel.
I don't think we have anything specifically under legal counsel today.
We do not. So we can move right into the county administrator's report, which is the emergency shelter grant program. Glenn, was there something specific we were gonna discuss with you before that?
No, I don't think so. I saw you had a nice exchange, and I was gonna listen to that, but I didn't get to hear that in the earlier part. I'll just pick it up from here,
Your name was mentioned, by the way.
no doubt.
We drug it through the mud the best we could.
I appreciate that.
Glenn, is there a certain part of the meeting that you wanna be on besides the very end?
I don't think it's necessary. I've looked at some of it, like, you have an agreement with QS nurses that I've looked at, but
Okay.
feel I can contribute, I'll be happy to do that.
Are you, okay, so just so I know how the flow goes and I won't stare at the TV just because I'll see you move and I'll wanna watch it. We'll bring you back in probably at the Iron Star, road maintenance agreement at that part.
Okay.
So, Dr. Fletcher, we'll move on with the emergency shelter grant program with Catholic Charities and of Southwest Kansas. How about that?
Sounds good.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi, Deborah.
Hi, Deborah.
I am here to talk to you about a new round of funding of Emergency Solutions Grant that comes through the CARES Act.
Okay.
And when I got this grant announcement, there was not a lot of turnaround, and so I immediately called to get on your agenda. I've since learned that we do not need your approval for this grant because they are changed some of the rules around this funding this round, and they're allowing us to apply directly with them because we're applying to cover multiple counties. But I did want to give you a little update about what we are doing since I didn't want to just not show up. We have provided a little over $90,000 of assistance to people in the 28-county area that we serve because of the economic impact of COVID in their lives. And most of that has been in Ford, Finney, and Barton counties. And so that's when they allowed us to look at this differently. We looked at what are some of the greatest needs that we have, and so we can try to address those. With Manor House being closed and not accepting people into their shelter, we have spent over $5,000 in motel nights just for people in Ford County, and so we anticipate that that's going to continue, particularly with the death of Mike Ford, that their director, that it's going to be more difficult for them to get back operating their shelter. We've also learned that what we thought was a homeless shelter in Great Bend is really not a homeless shelter, and so they don't require people to be homeless to go into their shelter and provide a wide range of services. And so we know that there's a lacking area there in that area as well. And Mia's house in Garden City is often full.
And, so people are still on the street. So we wanted to ask for assistance for motels in the 28 counties that we serve. Also, rental assistance, they're allowing us to do rental assistance, they're allowing us to do utility assistance, and those are some of the areas that we see the greatest need in. So, I appreciate your support of us receiving this funding through the county, and, but I think this will better serve the people that we have, that if we can keep that funding closer to them and not have to go through, I think they probably appreciates not having to go through a third party on this, and so, we're still working out what we're going to ask for, but we're looking at $10,000 for our 4 big communities, each for the motels. We're still working on what we think we need for utilities and some rental assistance, or homeless prevention services is what they call it.
Do you ever think those shelters where homeless people would go, do they ever have a need for like a professional cleaning company to come in to actually physically clean those? In my mind, I was thinking like for the hotels that we had where people, were
Right.
quarantined and they would stay, we actually had a professional cleaning company, and they still have the contract through the federal government, where they clean that environment. I don't know how often that is, but I assume it's weekly or probably
Well,
between transitions of people.
That's an allowable expense on the ESG grant. Unfortunately, the 4 shelters that we have in southwest Kansas, only one of them gets ESG funding.
Oh, wow.
And the other ones are not interested in applying for it.
Okay.
So if they were able to get that funding, then they could have access to those resources to do those kinds of things. And that's part of the reason why like Manor House is closed, because they don't have the ability to manage that real well. So because of those fundings, we continue to try to encourage them to apply for those funds, because it really is a good way to, fund that. There's a need for homeless shelters in southwest Kansas. So, but yeah, they could certainly do that. The shelter in Liberal is a long-term shelter, 30 to 90 days, and they have ESG funding, and you can see the difference in the operating and the level of services that they provide by having that funding and being able to keep people longer. And they provide them with good case management, and we work with them to get them into our revenue housing program and, that sort of thing, so.
Great.
So I'm not here to ask anything of you, just to give you information, so you don't have to have anything else on your agenda to deal with from me.
What was the name of the place in Barton?
Is it the Life Giving Center or something? I think that Jack Trickey, I think they've changed names several times.
Okay. And I didn't know if that was done by Buzz Burney out of Ellenwood, where he actually had, there's a facility over by, used to be Payday IGA, kind of on the west side of town, where he actually helps with homeless. He's got a tremendous volunteer group, but they do furniture and dishwashers and washer and dryers and all kinds of things for people that are just, basically out, whether it's
I think
struggling
at
families.
one point they were operating as a homeless shelter. I just think their mission has changed in more recent years. And it's more of a, kind of a faith-based, life-changing, it's not really a treatment facility, but people stay for 60, 90 days, and,
Okay.
but they don't have to be homeless to go there.
Okay.
But I will check on what you're describing with, is it, did you say Bernie? Last name?
Yep. He's, Buzz is an outstanding person, but he's, they go overseas and build, facilities for people to live in third world countries.
Okay.
And literally sleep on dirt and build houses for people.
Right.
It's amazing. But there's always a group out of that area, of volunteers that always goes to these locations and mainly have carpentry skills to do things. But
Well, I will check on it, because sometimes those resources are hard to find, and nobody in my staff in Great Bend have shared that information with me, so.
Sure.
I'll have to check into it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
The next 2 items are the county engineer report and the county iron star road use maintenance agreement after
Good afternoon.
that. John?
Hey, John.
Going to touch upon the active items, the county engineer's duties here in the recent past. So starting at the top of the report that I have, off-system bridge 31, which is north of Dodge City on 114 Road. Just the comment I'm making there is that we're utilizing 2020 budget monies to go ahead and purchase the steel girders for that bridge. That's an agenda item later in the meeting, so I'll get into that. We'll talk about that here a little bit. But then looking at acquiring the right-of-way and constructing the bridge in 2021. Paved road reclamation contracts have all been signed with APAC to set them up for that project. After the first year, I'll present a contract for presenting construction administration and materials testing services during construction of that project to confirm that the contractor is building the project for the plans and specs. And as part of that, we'll host a pre-construction meeting in the spring and talk about the plan of construction and line out schedule and methodology for getting that project constructed. Down on the Quaker Road drainage, something we've had on the list for a while, the county surveyor is working on the topographic survey data. They were planning to get that finished up possibly last week, and then all the weather hit and things kind of put them off a little bit, but told me they're getting pretty close to having that done, so we can move forward with the drainage analysis and come up with a solution there. I'm going to skip the Iron Star and come back to that on the next agenda item since it's there for the road use and maintenance agreement. Rayville Express, I really haven't heard anything recently from them as far as what they're doing on developing their project. Never received any specific information as far as how much right-of-way they've acquired through Ford County or anywhere else. So that's really, I think, step one for them even getting to where they could build this power line project. So I haven't really seen any of their folks in a while. But they were talking about starting construction in early 2022. So now that we're entering into almost early 21, we're getting nearer a year to that date. So I imagine that if they're gonna get that early 22 starting construction, they need to get with it on the right-of-way acquisition.
So they've got a land agent that's been contacting landowners about that.
Okay.
Has been pretty active, at least for some key people anyway. Some of your bigger landowners and that kind of thing. But one other aspect of that, and I visited with somebody from ITC about this, is that they've got a generation interconnection agreement that they had 7 years ago when this thing started that has expired. And according to him and the way he felt like is that in order for this project to go forward and be within the parameters that the state set forth for them, was that they have to have that generation interconnection agreement. And they have, it was with ITC to begin with. That expired. ITC, they requested another one, ITC sent another one, and they've not had any kind of correspondence or activity, interest, or whatever you want to call it, on getting that agreement taken care of. So
I see.
it's kind of chicken or the egg thing. I don't know which one you need first, but all of the land acquisition stuff is going to be null and void if they don't have a generation interconnection agreement to start the project with. So
Gotta hook it all together, right?
well, again, basically they need a place to dump in case their project, in case their line goes down, is what that's about. And that was something I think that was set forth by the state at the beginning of this, is that they had to have that outlet in case their line was to go down or whatever.
I see.
And one other thing about this deal that I think is important to keep in mind, and I'll remind you guys, is that that line is being built and has to be for new windmill generation, or new renewable energy generation. So they're not gonna build it and then put everything that we have here now onto it and send it. That has to be a new construction, energy that puts on this. So to put that in perspective, this line has the capacity. We've got between 1,500 and 2,000 megawatts here in the county now.
Sounds about right.
I think somewhere ballpark, that line will hold 3,000 to 4,000.
Wow.
And it's gotta be new construction. That goes on there, so. Just keep that in mind as this comes along,
Well, Glenn, you still listening? That's probably part of the reason why we felt what we felt from this last negotiation is, I mean, they even kind of made jokes about, expanding quickly because of their footprint. They can go north and south pretty fast and have it's the largest windmills ever on there.
yeah.
That's the reason that you think maybe the red dot is up to the next generation, right? That's what you guys decided?
I'm sorry?
What, where they marked the green ones and then they had the red circles on the map?
Right. I remember the map you're talking about.
I think some of that had to do with the
Yeah, I
height
know
of the
what-
tower.
Yeah, I know what they said.
There you go. There you go.
I heard what they said.
Yeah, that's a good way to word it. Yep, perfect.
Sorry, that's all I got on that.
A lot more than what I had, but good.
Jamie.
That's okay. Good information. I'm jotting notes when you guys talk a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll keep monitoring the situation and, see where it goes. But like I said, if we're gonna hit that 2022 start of construction, things are gonna start clicking pretty soon, because it didn't just happen overnight. At least it doesn't happen very well, right? I'll put it that way. The next item on my agenda, and I got some handouts here for you all. Talk a little bit about the Highway 50 project.
I think we've got those.
So do you have those? All right.
Yeah, I think
Do
they.
you have them printed off, or? I have better colors.
Yours is blue and ours is yellow.
The email I got is blue.
Well, I don't need to take them all home with me, so I'll pass them some out anyway.
My wife shoots squirrels with a BB gun. This looks like something I can hang up for her to shoot at.
Use it however you see fit. Whatever your purpose. So this is on the 4-lane expansion project going from Dodge City to Cimarron. Of course, we're talking about just the Ford County part, from the county line back to Dodge City or to the highway there that goes up to the scene of that. As part of this project, KDOT typically would pursue what they call access consolidation for safety purposes as well as performance issues with traffic. And so essentially what that means is they're looking at along Highway 50 west of Dodge, there's a lot of access or entrance of the houses into fields and things like that. Where can they consolidate those into multiple entrances into one by possibly using access roads, for instance? And so that's what these plan sheets that I'm handing out are, 7 locations where KDOT and their designer have tried to consolidate accesses, multiple accesses into one for those safety and performance measures. So there's 2 things in play here, and this isn't gonna get decided right away. But KDOT would look for the county and/or township, whichever the case might be appropriate for county, to take over maintenance of these particular access roads once they are constructed.
So John, real quick, just so I'm following what you have in front of us. The yellow portion or your blue portion of the map, what ideally is that? Is that saying the KDOT is purchasing that piece of ground
Correct.
and they're going to then flatten that area for safety? Because
That was a general term, it
Well-
includes some drainage ditches and things like that, but yeah, it'll be improved.
I guess what I'm looking at on some of these are houses,
Correct.
and they probably have already purchased those.
They are, some of them they have.
Okay.
They are in process of purchasing the right of way for the project currently. Some of it has been acquired, some they are still working with. So below those blue areas, you can see kind of a checkered looking
Yeah.
line there. That is essentially the existing highway.
Okay.
And so the more, I know there's a lot of lines on there, but the kind of the white area between the checkered boxes and the blue colored area, that will be new highway right of way or added on to some that's existing, some that's new. And where the line is running right along the bottom of the blue, it's got vertical tick marks coming off of it, that is the proposed KDOT right of way. The proposed KDOT right of way. So the blue area, KDOT is purchasing that area as well, and they would deed that back to the local government, is their intent. The kind of gray lines inside of the blue area is actual roadway surface and the access road that the county or township would take over.
Okay.
KDOT would like to do.
Now, if I remember right, our discussions on this is they would be building the frontage roads so those houses can have one access point that they enter and leave and.
Right, right. So on the first page there, for instance, there's the big blue area more in the center of the page, more to the left. The road basically starts at the right side and goes all the way to the left, where then it connects to the highway, toward the left side of the page.
Now, just for clarification, that left farthest point on your map on the first page, isn't that where the city of Dodge City has their sign right now?
Mean where they got up there,
The
cutout,
Cowboys? Yeah.
Cowboys?
Isn't
I'm
that-
looking for that too.
I think that's right there, isn't that right? That's Fox's property,
Yeah, find a track of little foxes there,
isn't that right?
I don't think it's on these plans. These plans are only what has the frontage roads that Ford County would take, so it's in between, it would be in between page 2 and 3 is where that.
Right, yeah, I don't think that's the spot.
That's not this one.
No. Because on page 3 is the bypass coming around and connected in.
Yeah,
And
so
then page 2 is 106 road.
the plans you have are not the entire project. It is only the parts of the project where there's gonna be access or frontage roads. So in front of Fox's place, there's not actually gonna be a frontage road there.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily worried about his, I was just trying to figure out what this first page is, like where that location
The
is.
first page is to the west of 106 road, all the Santa Fe Trail, suburban.
Yeah, so if you look to the top right, I've got some red boxes up there, and it's calling out to where Dr. Moffitt's residence is at,
Where's that?
I'm shooting about
kind of the top.
Well, this would be his right here,
third page.
third page?
On the first
Not the
page.
first page.
No, on the
Yeah.
first page.
He's on the first page, right?
Yeah, right there, you're the first page.
Because like this is Conant, that's Moffett, and this would
If
be,
you look in the top right, it should show 32.
Pat Ruff,
that rough, yeah, right there.
32.
This is,
So then this is Pointer Rock.
Huh?
This is Fox and Pointer Rock,
So the rock's gonna be east of there.
right here, first page.
West
to the left.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. So you have to be west of that.
So this is Moffett.
There's Moffitt's right there. James Moffitt. When you go in, it's
Yep.
got-
So his house is up here, because this is farther north.
Right.
Got it. So this is Pointer Rock.
Not that. That is a rock ditch liner that they're putting in there, is what that symbol stands for. I think the Pointer Rocks might be actually a little bit to the west.
Yeah.
You're getting close. Yeah, what you printed off, see, I had drawn these red boxes on here, that didn't print off on your pages.
I'll take one of
See,
those.
I should have handed you taken my handouts.
Man, well, we're here.
I was trying to help you out here.
I
Not
tried
used to
to
that.
print your stuff, John, and on the larger sheets, and it wouldn't print in color, so I went back and I hand did the highlight.
Well, that's also why I brought the printed ones too. So anyway, there at the, the top right, just got called out where Moffitt's house is at in Conan, just to try to help lead you to where we're actually at on the plan here.
So that's going pretty far up in people's drives.
Then it goes up their ways. If you, it's probably hard for me to find the tag notes, but the corners of the right of way, like right here, it's pretty small print, but it says that point is 250 feet north of the center line of the proposed road. But it does go up their ways. When you think about where the current highway is now, in this section, it's not gonna be divided 4-lane, I don't believe.
Right.
Until you get past the Point of Rocks. But when you're winding out from, currently it's a 2-lane road, so it's 24 foot wide with 10-foot shoulder, it's 44 foot wide paved area total. And now they're essentially gonna go to a 5-lane width plus the shoulders. So it's gonna be almost 80 foot wide, it's gonna be quite a bit wider than it is, plus improved ditches and things like that, and everything to the north is going uphill. So as you dig in or widen the road out that way, you're cutting slopes back into that hill going to the north. So it does extend up there quite a ways north.
So these first 2 pages is just an access road coming back and forth.
Right along, it's paralleling the highway,
That's it.
it's access to those houses.
Okay.
And it's combining multiple entrances into one point of entry on the highway. So my intent today with these maps here is just to show you guys what we're talking about. There's no action to be taken now. Again, the county would not be asked to take over this until the project is complete, which would be 2024, possibly somewhere in that time frame. So it's a ways off. Currently, KDOT is planning to put down, I believe it was, I didn't write on the sheet, I think it's 7 inches of asphalt paved, that's that right, Chris? Yeah. 7 inches of hot mix asphalt.
And with it should just be light residential traffic on those, so maintenance won't, the main maintenance will just be snow removal.
Trash truck,
Yeah.
simple. 7 inches. Pretty incredible.
They're, in their words, trying to do the county a favor by not presenting you something that needs maintenance in the short term.
Right.
It'll last a while.
Right.
Trying to be good neighbors from that standpoint, at least. They know the county doesn't necessarily want miles of roads. They're not tied to any county roads currently, so any maintenance traffic would have to go down the highway to access any of them. They're not accessible from a current county road. So yeah, I put those red notes on there to try to help kind of explain where we're at. So on the far right of that first sheet, I've got a note that says the 106 road is about 1,500 feet further east of that point. About a quarter mile further east.
And which one is 106 road? Is that
Air Base Road.
Stanley?
Yeah, Stanley.
Yard?
Okay, so the second page, it's in the top right corner, says it would be sheet number 34. So it means we're straight out plan set. But that's just showing you the rest of that access road on the right side of the first page. Then the third page, which says sheet number 36 at the top right. Now you can see kind of towards the left side of the page above the existing highway, there's a half loop there. That is the loop for the bypass. So we're going just east of there is that next access road, just east of the overpass, with the southeast bypass. And that road, just for information, is about 1,000 feet long, maybe 1,100 feet long. That's the third one. So there's 7 total of these locations.
And they're all just new access roads.
These would be brand new access roads parallel to the highway.
7 inches thick, just in case you forgot.
Nope, got it. I'm just trying to figure out why we're not doing widened highways. Guess it's coming.
Well, in this case, part of the reason for the access roads is, Kirk Michael's working on this, the eastern, or the western, it's the Gray County Half project. Traffic projections, when they looked at like passing lanes, for instance, the traffic projections, 20 years out on this highway were traffic would more than double. It
Yeah.
would well exceed, the functionality of passing lanes, and that's one reason why they went straight to 4-lane.
Okay.
On this particular stretch of road. Just because of the projected traffic now. What has COVID done to that, who knows? But it'll probably come back. If it's, I'm sure, down by.
And we don't have the plans that are farther out by how that elevator? That's not here, right?
No, that's not in this plan set. I do have them. I could certainly share that.
I'd love to see that one.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, for today, I just wanted to present the access roads themselves, and I'm trying to stay on focus, right? I'll certainly.
That's fine.
The plan set. You don't have to do that. Just like.
Okay.
So just real quickly, the fourth page, which is sheet 38 at the top right, there's just a little blue box in the middle of the page there. Just to the right of that little blue box is 107 Road. And you can see the property in the right, just above and to the right of that is Leon Flax's property. So you might be familiar with him. Ray Keck's property is just right north of that blue box. That's a very short connector road there, just coming from the properties to the west, connecting that Velasquez property over to 107 Road. You can see there they're realigning 107 Road. It comes at an angle to the northwest to southeast of Highway 50, and now it's going to bend down and come 90 degrees to Highway 50, provide better sight both directions down the highway. And then to the right side of the page is another access road there, coming from the Fox's property. And it carries over on the next page. Which is 40 at the top right. Connects quite a number of properties there towards the middle. And then there's a longer strip of blue in the middle of that sheet 40. Connects, looks like Pfizer's and two properties for Mercado. It goes on over further east to, it says the Arts Trust. These are the legal owners. I don't know who's actually occupying any of these properties. If there's different people there or not. And then to the far right side of that page is the seventh location. And on the right side of that page 40, I said that 108 Road is about roughly a quarter mile, 1,350 feet on further east of that particular point. Those are properties it says are owned by Transport Express. You go to that final sheet then, right there is the Highway 50 that goes north and east up to the casino. So we're talking just to the west of there is where that first access road starts. A little show and tell for today, going to give you a little insight on what KDOT's asking about. Future county or the township maintenance. Checks out. Any further questions on that item?
Nope.
Make a note to send you the clean sheets. think that is all that I have for my report. Until we move on to the next agenda item for the Iron Star Road Use and Maintenance Agreement Addendum 1.
I think we're ready.
Okay. So what this first from is, now that the wind farm is under construction, they're wanting to use aggregates from a gravel pit in Hodgman County for construction of their connector roads going from the county and township roads over to the wind tower sites, as well as stabilizing material on some of the county or township roads and on their lay-down yard and some of the facilities that they're going to use themselves. We reviewed the material with Chris. It's basically like a caliche type material, which is suitable for a base. So as far as the public roads, we've authorized the use of that material as a base material, but they need to put some gravel and sand on top of it, because with that caliche, it's really fine stuff, and it breaks down into traffic, gets very powdery, gets wet, it's super slick. So and it's very dusty when it's dry. And so we didn't want that to be the surface. So we worked with the wind farm contractor to come up with a gravel and sand surfacing to help provide traction in wet conditions, as well as keep down the dust when it's dry. However, the roads that they're wanting to haul on were not authorized haul routes with our original road maintenance agreement. They were hauling strictly west from this gravel pit in Hodgman County, but unfortunately, a couple of the bridges that they were driving over were posted to load through the statewide loading program, and so they were no longer allowed or able to haul loaded trucks over those bridges, and that's what necessitated them coming south. So we did work with the contractor and the hauler to come up with a haul route. They're going to come south with loaded trucks from Hodgman County, and they would, when they come into Ford County, would come down 125 road until they hit Denham, then they'll go west on Denham Road 2 miles over to 123, and then hit Highway 50 at 123 road west of Spearville, about 2 miles, 2.5 miles. That's when they're loaded. When they're unloaded, they can still come back on the Hodgman County Road west of the gravel pit. So they're only going to travel Ford County roads routes when they're loaded trucks. We talked with Chris. We didn't have an issue with using those roads in Ford County, but we did obviously require the wind farm to agree to this addendum, because we're adding miles to the road to the routes. So with this addendum number 1 to the road use and maintenance agreement, the wind farm has acknowledged the request and need to use those 8 miles of road that were not originally cited in the road use and maintenance agreement. And they've also agreed with that to increase the security from $960,000 to $1,200,000. And that document has been signed by the wind farm, and so that is what we're presenting to the commissioners today with a recommendation to go ahead and approve it.
Okay. John, when does Kirkmichael's visual work start, where they start inspecting the routes these guys are taking?
About a month and a half ago.
So that it has already
Been out there
happened?
for a while, yeah. In
Okay.
fact, we had a guy on site that drove up there. He went to the ferry, checked the gravel pit, checked out the material, checked all his roads.
Okay.
And he's already documented it as well, the condition, the pre-construction condition, before they started hauling down the roads.
Okay.
So we're ready to.
These aren't all county roads, these are actually some township roads here, is that correct?
They're all township.
Spearville Township. Yeah.
I drove it today and went up to the quarry, and I think it's interesting how much aggregate the township has put on the road itself coming up it. I mean, those trucks, when they're coming at you, you gotta pull over and get inside some of that aggregate and then come back out. It's
A little tricky, is it, or?
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting if you didn't have a 4-wheel drive vehicle. Try and get over, I mean, I don't know what that was, foot and a half of dirt on the side of the road. So I mean, they're prepared to push that out to the middle, but.
So we'll certainly keep an eye on that. Typically, they're low volume roads, so it should be a fairly low risk endeavor there.
Yep. Yep. All right. So on this, you need a motion to approve the addendum?
Yes, please.
I've got the motion to approve addendum 1 of the Iron Star Wind Farm road use and maintenance agreement. Motion second, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, much appreciated.
Yep.
That's the end of my report for today, unless there's any other questions for me. You plan to stick around for the bid discussion on Hughes.
Okay, great. That's all I got.
The next item is the Ford County Public Health Department agreement.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, John.
Sorry, Evil that Marcos. He's been helping us a lot. Works at the whole department, so. The first item that I have is in agreement with QS Services. And Glenn has reviewed this agreement, and is what it is it's an agreement with, basically they'll find PRN staff for you, you know, if you need that. And like I said, Mr. Glenn has looked at this, and there is some revisions and some changes that he wants made to it. And QS Services doesn't have any problem doing that. Their operations section was just not able to make those changes and have them ready for us today. So is what I'm asking for is your approval to go forward with this contract, pending Glenn's reviews, all the revisions that have been requested. And we've just, in the last couple weeks, we've had some staffing changes where we're gonna have, we have a couple of RNs out, and we have a couple clerical staff out, and I know one of them will return, I don't know about the others. So, there's certain services that are provided at the health department that you're gonna have qualifications to provide those services. And they're also, attached to some grants. One in particular is about a $350,000–400,000 grant that we get every year. And so the charges for this will funnel through that grant. You know, I'll make sure that the funding is available, of course, before I retain any of their services if that's a possibility.
Okay.
So I'm just asking, for your approval, on this agreement. Like I said, we're not ready to utilize them yet, but this is the first step before they can actually start talking to me about what they have available, when they would have somebody available, you know, different qualifications. This is just the base, to start having all those conversations.
Do you think you'll get better employees out of this? Is this something, or is it more, I was trying to think of the, besides just being a benefit of kind of seeing a plethora of who's out there, who's available, maybe what counties, you know, are nearest that they can work from. You know, if it's somebody living in maybe a neighboring county that we didn't know moved into that area, to where maybe they could work for us. Is there, do you see that maybe you would get a different quality of employee or something from this, or?
This is more, for me to utilize, in the meantime, until I can recruit a full-time employee.
Yeah.
If I can.
More like a temp agency.
More like
type of
temp
thing.
agency,
Okay.
yes, sorry about that,
Okay.
that's what this is. And I know that they can help you recruit staff also, but what I'm wanting right now is just some assistance in maybe filling some temporary positions till either, staff come back, or, you know, I get some applicants. The last time that, I had a position open, it was over 6 months before I filled it, and I don't know that I can get exceptions for that anymore.
Okay.
With some of that funding, you know, so I'm just trying to have a resource available if I need it.
Okay.
And I do have a signature page, I think Glenn requested that the chairman sign.
Okay.
Do you have any other questions for me though, office.
All right, I'll go ahead and call a vote, or a motion to approve, I'll make a motion to approve the contract with QS Nurses. And that has to be subject to Glenn's modifications of
Yes.
the contract for legal counsel.
And they're gonna make the modifications and then send it directly to Glenn.
Okay,
So,
great.
did you wanna wait and sign the signature page until we have that, or did you?
I think
wanna-
so,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
I'm getting a big nod too.
Oh, I forgot about that, sorry.
He's looking over your shoulder.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Already did.
It's kind of nice. Present. Oh, yeah. All right, so we have a motion and a second to approve the QS Nurses contract, or the contract with QS Nurses, pending legal counsel's review. I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you.
The next item we have is also the health department, medical trailer.
And Marcus
yeah, we
is
got
gonna, oh, you did?
Yep.
Okay,
Oh.
I wasn't sure, sorry about that.
Thank you.
He provided you some information. This is something that we have been looking at for quite some time. We just really didn't realize what all of our needs were until some of this stuff came about. What this is it's a 24-foot specialized designed medical trailer. It has adequate lighting, extra lighting, extra plug-ins. It has a front area that's big enough for an exam room, and then the door can be closed for privacy. It has a ramp that goes down in the back, and then it has 2 doors that open. And then it has railing along that ramp, for safety purposes. But that would allow us to be able to kind of protect the employees more, and also the equipment. And it's not just for COVID. There's a lot of clinics that we do outside of the office. We do flu clinics, and we like to set up something at the 3i show. Biometrics, different things that we do that we could actually do out of this trailer, and it would work out really nicely, and then let the clinic operations still flow. And depending if like it's TV clients or something, it would lessen the exposure inside the building, if we had to look at something like that. I was just trying to think of other things that we would use it for. We've been working out of trailers for over 6 months now, out of the expo and at the health department. And so we have been able to identify some needs, and this will meet some of the needs that we have came across in working out of trailers. We did do some checking closer in this area, and nobody really manufactures medical trailers necessarily, with all the lighting and the ramps and the doors. You can get the shell of a trailer and have it customized, but then the chances for defect is more because it's not just in the assembly line of the manufacturers, going through the process. And the cost was pretty prohibitive when you start adding things like that. And they were 6 to 8 months out. So, this vendor is Great Dane, and KDHE has approved this as a vendor, and they have approved us to utilize grant funds or COVID funds that are only available to local health departments to purchase. And this is something that they're wanting us to do, to be able to utilize to offer clinics or offer other outreach services, whether it's going to the 3i show or to a school, to say this is what we do. And
I think we'll go to schools and go to senior centers and things like that to be able to maybe hold some vaccination clinics and things, whether it's the flu season or whether the COVID vaccine comes through and you start, are able to offer that at location rather than having them come having to come to town or to the.
Right.
How big's the generator?
It's gonna be a,
It's 7.
yeah, it's gonna be a 7 kilowatt.
As I
So it's
say,
gonna be fairly big enough, it's gonna be, you know, it's actually what we're currently using right now. So we know it covers what we need and then. And I mean, by the looks of it, if it's possibly fully equipped with what we need, we were able to get some options in there, you know, to meet it to what we're hoping to get, so.
And with the vehicle that
And
we're
with
gonna
the
get.
vehicle. So we also wanted to make sure it was something that we would be able to tow ourselves instead of having always to depend on a third person to move it back to the right.
Is a 7 kW big enough?
Is that what we have now?
That's what we
Yeah.
But you got this thing here, AC and all this, and you got the sub and all this stuff I see in it. Is that big enough?
They're all nodding their head, these three.
and I don't plan on using it on a generator a whole lot, you know, it'll come with power, short, you know, the plug and everything, so hopefully, you know, for the most part, like what we have now, we have it plugged into the building. You know, if we have to use generator, but we don't like to rely on that. You know, just, the medical equipment doesn't like all that.
We like that the option is there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't seem big enough to me. The generator.
Oh, mm-hmm.
We can always throw a bigger one of you guys.
And we can get a bigger trailer too, we just don't think we can, or I didn't think I could handle the corner
You know, Danny,
and things.
for some reason or another, you don't understand. I just think that generator's not
Yeah.
big enough for what I read, the equipment in there.
Mhm.
And you can talk about, I know you wanna have it plugged in most of the time when you can, in case we have a tornado coming, you pull up somewhere, it's gone.
Mhm.
An ice storm, you know, like we had in 2000, I mean, we can lose all electricity.
Sure.
I just wonder if that generator's big enough. And we got these experts there say, yes, that they are, that they know about as much about the electrical and medical equipment as I do. Zero.
And it also has the ability, like for a refrigerator, which a lot of pharmaceuticals will have to have in, you know, a refrigerated, climate-controlled environment. So, you know, we've allowed
Big
for that.
generator, climate control, refrigerator. I see the oven in there and I see all these things.
Yeah, some of that, like the microwave oven, different things, that's not really for us, you know, necessarily. It's more the medical, the hand washing, the pharmaceutical storage, things like that. So,
Do they have generator upgrade
but
available?
I can ask. We can ask.
Yeah, if it does have a generator upgrade available, we're trying to push the hoping to get the case.
On the back end of it, where the ramp comes down, you got the two sides where it looks like handicap accessible.
Uh-huh.
Is there something that protects the back? Does it become a door, or is that just always open?
No, that's got two different doors that will open.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the ramp comes down and there's a door there.
Correct.
Okay.
Protection for the two entry doors, you mean?
And then.
I just didn't know if the back end was just open where.
No.
No.
Okay.
It actually looks like
I didn't see
a nice
it.
little clinic. We've actually seen the pictures on it online.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have.
And it looks like a really clean, operation.
There's several counties around us that have this one and have purchased from this vendor.
Okay.
I just have not taken the time to go around, but the pictures are all online, you know,
Okay.
all the specs and, I visited with them, but like Marco said, we can talk to them about additional generator and stuff. We just need I just wanted kind of like a platform before I kept, you know, asking them for more information and additional details. There is a delivery fee, and then they also have an electric jack option that I would like to add, just because of the weight of the trailer alone. Is what I would like with your permission is to move forward with the purchase of it with not to exceed $80,000.
Okay.
And like I said, there's grant funds, to cover that purchase, that are, that's what they want you to spend the funds on, is to improve your mobility, with your clinic and your operations. Did you want me?
Does it have jack levelers? You know what I'm talking about? Does it have jack levelers?
Yes, it does.
I mean, like, you press a button and it automatically levels like on the good coaches?
Oh, I don't know, is it
This-
electric?
I don't know if they're electric.
Yeah,
I can ask them.
I would agree with, I'd have them ask about having electric on the front.
Okay.
And you said that was electric jack
Well,
levelers.
on coaches, on motor coaches, you pull into a deal and you park, and they press the button and it goes.
Yeah, it's kinda like a stabilizer.
Mhm.
Yeah, it has.
Levels it out.
Yeah.
And you got all this equipment in there gonna work, and if it's cockeyed and,
Yeah,
you know.
I think they just call it a stabilizer and not a leveler.
Sure.
Stabilizer is what they would do, put on the hitch to keep it from swaying your vehicle, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I can ensure, and like I said, I've left some money in there, that's high, but I've left some money in there for things like this, if there's the generator upgrade, you know, that we wanna look at, or a battery, or, you know, something powered that we maybe overlooked that would be better off if it was powered and not manual, so.
I remember one time we was out to the sheriff's office or out to the chief Boyd's office, and this gentleman with me said to the gentleman, don't ever go for less than you probably need, because you run out, it's a bad deal. He was talking about pizzas. I'm talking about this deal. You're right. And if you try to cheat the deal, eventually it's going to be bite you in the, you know what. So if you're gonna order some, make sure you got it.
Right, sure, I understand, thank you.
So this one says jack stabilizer, scissor 24 inch, 5,000 pound in the rear.
Yeah. And they did, you know, recommend a weight distribution hitch, then when we actually tow it with the Tahoe, just,
Okay.
Good.
I'm trying to think of anything that I might have left out. Oh, the availability. The availability is 1/29, so January the 29th
Oh.
of 2021. And then there'll probably be, I was giving them a couple weeks for delivery. So, and then attached there is all of their warranty, information, and what, you know, they have to offer with that. If you have any questions about the warranty, or I can get additional information for us also.
And this is Missouri?
Yes,
I was looking for their address. I didn't.
yes, it's, I'm sorry, Benton, Missouri.
Yeah, it's on that front page.
Yeah.
Oh, right there. Okay.
And I've asked them quite a few questions also about the warranty, also because it talked, you know, about different notices with, temperature changes and just different things I wasn't familiar with, and so I was able to get all of that clarified and, you know, to where I was comfortable with their warranty information that they were putting in there. Do you have
Mr.
any-
Chairman, I make a motion to approve the purchase of a medical trailer using COVID-19 grant funds as requested by the Public Health Department Administrator. I would actually increase that to an $85,000 not to exceed, so that you can talk to them about some of those upgrades we talked about.
Oh, okay, thank you.
10 kV generator and jack levelers, automatic jack levelers.
I second
All right, with motion second, any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item is EMS Striker Pro Care Program renewal.
Afternoon, gentlemen.
Your chief?
I should have a copy of this agreement. It has went through legal, Glenn did approve with a couple changes. This is what PMs, our load systems, and our docks for the ambulances. We have 7 trucks, so it takes care of everything. Just point of interest, they were out a couple weeks ago for an issue, and it was $4,900 by the time they were out, so it's a no-brainer.
And it's a warranty, right?
It's a service warranty, yeah, you don't get charged a trip charge, you don't get charged for parts, you don't get charged for batteries. They just come out, and then once a year they'll come out and go through everything, replace bushings, batteries if they don't test right. And keep it up.
Liking their service? All right. I make a motion, we approve the renewal of the Strikers Pro Care program. All right, motion second, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
The next item is Chief Boyd as well.
With the nice moisture that we had here, over the past week, spoke with Commissioner Tassett on Friday, and I think we're good to lift the burn dam. I'll probably be back in 30 days, asking you to put it back in, but at least we'll get 30 days, and people could do some cleaning up if they need to.
I make a motion that we approve rescinding resolution 2020-18. Call a vote, all those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Next item we have is information technology, SmartNet maintenance. Director Marty Gilmer.
Welcome, Marty. I want to thank you for sending out the Port County discounts. I took advantage of that, so.
Good to hear they're being used.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, for you today, I've got the renewal, our maintenance contract for our switches and our routers to help keep our network healthy as we move forward. We've been renewing this annually with our equipment reserve fund. I understand right now that that fund has been frozen, so I don't have any funds to pay this without getting permission from you gentlemen to move forward. The line item that I had in the equipment reserve had about $33,000 left in it. But again, it's frozen right now, so I'm just here to seek permission to move forward.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'd make a motion to approve the SmartNet maintenance invoice from Converge One in the amount of $23,288.50.
I second.
Have a motion second, any further discussion? I appreciate you working with us on that. I'll call a vote, all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
The next item is for Road and Bridge, Liberty Hills, Blue Beans.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon, Chris.
Hi, Chris.
Evening. Doesn't get dark early, doesn't it?
We received 2 bids for these 14 W24 by 76 steel beams that'll be 60 foot in length with 50 KSI strength. We received a bid from Husker Steel for $2,298 per unit for a total of $32,172. We received another bid from Weldon Sales for $2,305 per unit with a total price of $32,270, so a total of $98 difference.
Chris, I see the delivery dates are almost identical.
Yep, delivery dates are both put mid-January.
Husker Steel's the first time I've heard of them.
Yep, I have not done any dealings with Husker Steel before. Wilburn Sales, we buy many different products from them. They're based out of Salina, and Husker Steel is based out of Columbus, Nebraska. Yes, Columbus, Nebraska.
You know, it's typically highlighted the lower bid here of $72 less. since it's a vendor you work with. I mean, can you tell us more about Wellborn?
We buy a lot of different products from them, such from grader pits to all the way to street signs, gloves, everything. They provide us with pretty much anything, and a lot of people out in western Kansas, a lot of counties that do buy. Very good service. It looks to me like both of these are probably using the same manufacturer, just based off the delivery date. They said that both of them stated that they'd be waiting for it to be, get the mill. The mill would be rolling the steel the last week of December, and it would be available about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, so. And really, neither of them put delivery charge, so that $98 price just difference, just based off their bid.
So both things being equal, we got one in Nebraska and one in Kansas.
Yeah.
I'd be almost inclined to
Go for Salina, that's where all I
make a motion to approve, actually, Wellborn Sales is the one in Salina.
Yes, sir.
Would make a motion to approve the bid from Wellborn Sales.
I second that.
All right, with motion and second, I'll just go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for showing us both and letting that decision kind of walk through.
You're welcome.
The next item we have is the sheriff with the police package vehicle. Bid results.
Welcome. Well, were you surprised? The return of these bids? We got quite a few people throwing their ring in the hat.
Put in before. We went out for a half-ton, four-wheel drive pickup. We received 4 bids. Alan, I guess, let me rephrase that. We got 5 bids. Alan Samuel sent 2. One was for, I'll just go down the list. Alan Samuels was for a Dodge 4x4 for $28,176. And then he also bid with the Ram boxes, which is the toolboxes built into the bid, for an additional $1,300, which brought that total to $29,476. Lot Motors, they bid was $29,597. It did not have the tough box built into the bed. Lewis Chevy, their bid was $35,642. And Newberry Family Auto out of Harper was $29,303. And it has the Ram box built in. And we would like to go with Newberry Family Auto out of Harper, because they have one sitting on their lot right now.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept the bid from Newberry Family Auto for a Ram, half-ton Ram four-wheel drive pickup, $29,303.
I second
All right, we have a motion second, and just for discussion, I saw there were exceptions to the specs, like the driver's seats, not power, and that was requested to have like a 6-power seat.
Yes.
You know, legroom, to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you 41 inches if that's anything shorter or bigger, or if that's normal. Does any of that matter? I'm not
Some
sure,
of-
the driver.
Like anymore, no, it doesn't.
Okay. Okay.
A lot of that matters when you get into the backs.
Yeah, I get it, yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions, gentlemen? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you,
thanks.
The next item we have is the 2020 end of the year meeting board will discuss and choose a date and time for the last Fort County Commission meeting of 2020. Might need some input from county clerk, either the 30th or the 31st. In order to pay bills and take care of the books. Any input on that?
We always just have an end of the year, so we can pay last if it goes. Because it'll be a few weeks before we can pay again, and then miss it.
30th is a Wednesday, 31st Thursday.
I'm kinda like Donald Duck.
Okay.
I think I'll be here all week, don't have any plans, so.
We'll do it 31st, early morning.
Seems to be fine.
Okay. We need to pick a time too?
Yes.
Yes, so let's do end of your meeting, and so let's just do the 31st, and how about 10 o'clock? Just in case there's some craziness that morning, that somebody gets up late.
Okay. That would, is that a motion?
Sure, that's a motion.
I would second it.
All right, with motion second, all those in favor?
Aye.
I was waiting for a quack. All right.
Next item, item 11.5.
11.5 is what we have.
First bank card.
Okay, so this is resolution 2020-21, and Sarah has been patiently waiting for us the whole meeting. All right, talk to us about First Bank Card.
Okay, so Debbie Pennington was the only one that was authorized to do anything on there. She put me on as admin, like to be able to do things,
Okay.
but I'm not fully authorized to do all of it. Is what I come to find out.
Okay.
So we're asking to have Debbie Cox and I put on it so we can make decisions.
Okay.
What number is this again?
121.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make a motion to adopt resolution 2021. (2020-21). There we go.
Just want to make sure our numbers are right.
Right, very good, thank you, sorry about
It's
that.
kind of an odd number.
I second it.
All right, so we have a motion and a second to accept resolution 2020-21, which is a resolution to obtain corporate Visa card accounts with First Bank Card. And that is for Debbie Cox and Sarah Woods, Fort County Clerk and Fort County Treasurer. I'll go ahead and call a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The next item we have is upcoming meetings. Employee Appreciation Luncheon, December 10th, 2020, Expo Center from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Okay, now we get to the part of the meeting where Glenn has patiently waited. I will move the board recess into an executive session to discuss security measures related to the district court system, the Fort County Courthouse pursuant to the security measures exception of the Kansas Open Meeting Act, KSA 754319B13. How much time, Glenn, are we taking on this?
I'm not sure, I think Bill and Judge Lewis, is Judge Lewis there?
She is.
Lewis is.
It's 15 minutes.
He probably can tell, they can probably tell you a little better than I can how much time they would like to have.
All right, so 15 minutes is what they're saying, so let's start this at 5:45 and end at 6 o'clock. In addition to the commissioners, the county administrator, the assistant county administrator, Fort County Sheriff, Chief District Judge Laura Lewis and the county counselor should be included in the executive session.
I would second the motion.
All right, motion second. All those in favor? Aye. We'll start in 5 minutes. We are back out of executive session. Don't believe there's anything else on the agenda. Got it, one head nod. Saying no. Okay, I'd make a motion to adjourn.
I second it.
The motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.